was actually a lot of good defensive play. Welcome to Hamilton County TV Coaches Show. I'm Perry Williams. Alongside me today is Coach Josh Miracle, head coach. How are you?
Doing well, thanks, Perry.
Good, good. Let's talk a little bit. You came out victorious on Friday night against, you traveled to Noblesville, played the Noblesville Millers. It was actually a lot of good defensive play, and the Millers got a turnover there early, and you were able to score. But let's talk about that game, because the score really wasn't indicative of how the game really went, because it was pretty tight in that third or fourth quarter. So
sure. Yeah, I think our team showed a lot of resolve just to stick with it. Early on, we felt like we played some really good defense. Just kudos to Coach Sisinski and the defensive staff. I think great plan with those guys, and it's a difficult offense. I know it's just something unique you're not going to see every week. We kind of mentioned that last week. So just to get our guys ready, and our scout guys did a phenomenal job just buying into that, preparing, and they're going to give you different looks, which they certainly through a couple of different formations and things we hadn't seen in there, which we expected. And I think our staff worked well together just to try to get on the same page and make sure we can handle some of those adjustments. And then we were kind of moving there. Unfortunately, we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot. Or turnover in the red zone, which our offense has been great, take care of the ball. So just happens sometimes like that. A little unfortunate, and we didn't quite convert on a couple things from a special teams perspective. And you're in there in a real tight game at halftime, and our guys have unfortunately been used to that a little bit, I guess, and we kind of expect that, hey, we got to make some adjustments, and I know we've been pretty good out of the half, just responding in the third quarter. So our guys did an excellent job responding there. The game, I think at one point got to 24-6, and then got a little bit squirrely on us here. They kudos to them, did a great job on the onside kick, and they marched down there, and they had a score late. Now it's a close game again, and then we have to respond. And luckily we had some big time plays there. Gabe comes through as he's been notorious for on a week-to-week basis, and then you see Drew Law. Just proud of him. He was really sick going into the game too, so he was able to just step up and seal the game with the pick six. So just proud of our guys for the way they continue to stick with it and fight.
Yeah, the one thing about it too is that your defense really looked good, and it's normally the same guys over and over again of playing excellent football as far as tackles and assists. So hats off to that group. Well, Coach, let's talk about the game coming up here with the Hamilton Southeastern Royals, which fell to the Fishers Tigers, which is a huge game. That Budside game, I talked to my friend who broadcasts for Southeastern, and he said, I don't know the official number, but it was around 6,000 or 7,000 people. And there were people parked everywhere. He said around the stadium it was full, standing room only, so it was a great atmosphere. And but the Fishers Tigers came out on top, and it basically was in that first half there that they built up a lead, where they first quarter scored 14 points, Fishers did, and 13 in the second quarter, and then scored 7, and then the Southeastern Royals scored 7. So they were down pretty good at the half, and the second half was totally a different game for Hamilton Southeastern, because they scored 14 in the third and 14 in the fourth. So their offense got to rolling, but it was. What's your thoughts about this game coming up with the Shamrocks and the Royals?
Yeah, I think for starters, Coach Kelly and their staff do a phenomenal job. I think Coach Kelly's an outstanding coach, and I think that obviously they got behind late in that game, but you can see that their offense is pretty capable. They're averaging almost 40 a game, and they do a great job running the ball up front and give you a lot of different looks, formations, motions, shifts, and you can just see the discipline that those guys play with, in the second half in particular. So they're going to be extremely fundamentally sound, up front, and then defensively they fly around. I think Jordan does a great job getting those guys ready. You can see that they've played us well over the years, and we've had some really close games, whether it be regular season or postseason. So certainly we're familiar with each other, but definitely, I think that's one of the biggest games in the state when you look at this year's HSC, and they're certainly going to be fired up here to respond, coming this week.
Yeah, it was interesting in looking at these stats. I mean, rushing attempts for Southeastern 30, and then they gained 270 yards. So they were pretty efficient in the running game there, and I'm sure that second half was big time. And then passing 167, but the yardage was pretty even for both teams. But you never can tell when you play a rivalry game like that. I mean, two schools that are in the same school system, which we don't have many counties or many that have two rivalry teams as big as those two are.
Sure.
I would say that the one you had earlier in the year that I feel like is going to be a real rivalry game is your Westfield and Carmel. So that could rival it coming down the pike here. But that Southeastern Fishers game, many people talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a big crowd. And I'm sure there'll be a big crowd. You guys traveled very well over to Noblesville this past week, which you always do travel well. And of course, you'll have your 12th man there, the fans and the student body on Friday. How much of a benefit, or in the outdoors like that, it's a lot different than in a gymnasium or something like that confined. But is it a good thing to have as far as the crowd into it?
Yeah, I think above all else, it just shows the support of the community. I think when you have the support of the community behind you, there's a lot of special things that can take place. I think that we want to be a program that hopefully represents the community well, and we can value just the connections we can make, because there's so many of our former players that are still coming back to games and play a prominent role in the community of Westfield. And we're thankful. I mean, I just think we're super blessed at where we're at. Even when a lot of times it's great to have the live streams, and we're thankful, for people who aren't there in person, the opportunity, but just to have our fans show out there. This Friday, special as well, because it's youth night for us, and we take a lot of pride in our youth program. Personally, just having kids in our youth program, I know they're really excited, and wanting our guys to represent well. I mean, for them, they're heroes, right? They look up to our high school players, and the impact those guys can have goes well beyond just the game of football. So we do want to support that. We'll have our Riley night there, where our dance marathon kind of puts on some different things, and again, just making sure we understand it's bigger than just football, and we have the opportunity to impact. So we're thankful and just blessed to have these fans that travel well, and hopefully they'll be out there again this Friday.
I know since you've been here, and of course Coach Gilbert here, the youth program's been a big part of your high school program. All the assistant coaches and coaches spend a lot of time in that youth program. And one of the things that I know for a fact that broadcasting over the years here, you don't have, in the beginning, you didn't have a lot of move-in kids or some kid coming to Westfield because they wanted to play football. But so you take pride in that homegrown product.
Yeah, Coach Gilbert done a phenomenal job building that. They spent so much time down there, countless hours just building it. We hope to continue that tradition. But the staff that's down there, they're second to none. We have guys leading each grade level. Commissioner John Moore oversees kind of the whole youth side there. And they're just a lot of selfless, guys that want the best for our program. And I think when you see that vision of, what's a success, man, first grade, they come back in second grade and they keep loving football, keep growing, and then at the end of the day, that we hopefully have an opportunity to impact them for 12 or 13 years, and that we make sure that they hit their full potential by the time they leave our program when they're up here. So just thankful for those guys. They've done so much work, whether it be in the travel program, youth program, middle school, and I just think the ability to kind of move that forward together has been pivotal.
I think what's one thing that I've always been amazed at, and probably being close to this program in the last 5 or 6 years, is even though players play through the program and they graduate, they go on to the military or to a new job or to college, but many of them come back, and many of them keep very close contact with all you coaches, right? I mean, you probably hear from a lot of football players that in the 14 years you've been here.
Absolutely, and I think that was part of, the hope is where, Jake was moving on here to Wabash, and they were gracious enough to hire our staff and say, hey, we want it to be a place where the alumni can continue to come back and support. And, we've had some coaches, even on our own staff, right, that have played through the program, and what better guys to hire than the guys who have been in there. If we feel like we're developing them the right way, then we'd love for them to come back and contribute in some way. And I just think that is part of the blessing, and those guys, they take great pride in it because they know the impact that it's had in their lives. And it's fun to see guys like Coach Bertrand, working with the O-line. You see when he was a player, what really impacted him. He's instilling that in the lives of the kids that we have now.
Yeah, and I think that's a very, very important part. Well, I'm excited for this Friday's game against Southeastern. I've been looking forward to it since all season long, and especially when we found out we have the opportunity to broadcast this game, because I know it's two good coaching staffs and good players and an exciting time. So Hamilton County TV will be here to broadcast the game again this week, and we appreciate all the things you do for us and take time out in your busy schedule, because we feel very blessed to have the opportunity to come over here and broadcast, because we know that we are visitors here, and we appreciate you allowing us to come over here and do that for the Rocks.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all the coverage and just support you had in the entire county, and it really helps our entire game of football, and just promote what a special thing it can be, and how it develops our kids. So thank you.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how blessed you are to live in this county, because it's sport after sport in high school. It's all about the same. I mean, there's a lot of great athletes in this county. Well, thank you very much, Coach, for taking time out to do this, and I'll see you Friday night.
Thanks.